My parents cut me off on Thanksgiving, then bought my brother a lake house with my money. Now they're behind bars, seeking second chance. I was 24 when my parents announced they were cutting me off financially. Thanksgiving dinner at their house, the whole family gathered around the table, and my mom just casually drops this bomb between passing the mashed potatoes and stuffing. "We think it's time you learn to stand on your own 2 feet," she said with this fake sympathetic smile. "Your brother never needed our help, and look how successful he turned out." My brother Derek sat there smirking into his wine glass. He was 28, worked some middle management job at a tech company, and lived in a decent apartment downtown. I was finishing my master's degree in education and working part-time at a bookstore. The timing couldn't have been worse. My rent was due in a week, and I had maybe $800 in my checking account. I tried explaining that I was 6 months away from graduating, that I'd been counting on their help just a little bit longer, but my dad cut me off. "You're an adult now, figure it out like the rest of us had to." The thing is, they'd been helping me pay rent and tuition since I started grad school. We had an agreement. They'd promised to support me through my education just like they did for Derek when he got his MBA. I left that dinner feeling sick to my stomach. Spent the next week picking up extra shifts and applying for student loans I really didn't want. Had to move into this tiny studio apartment in a sketchy part of town because it was all I could afford. Meanwhile, my parents stopped returning my calls. 2 months later, Derek posts on Instagram from this gorgeous lake house. 3 bedrooms, huge deck, private dock, the works. Caption said, "New investment property thanks to the best parents in the world." My heart dropped. I called my mom immediately asking what was going on. She got all defensive, saying Derek worked hard for that opportunity and they just helped with the down payment as an early inheritance. Early inheritance. The same people who cut me off for needing rent money just dropped what had to be at least $100,000 on a lake house for my brother. I was furious, but mostly just confused. Where did they even get that kind of money? My parents were comfortable but not rich. My dad was a sales manager and my mom worked part-time at a dentist office. Something didn't add up. I started thinking about my college fund. My grandparents had set one up for me when I was born. It was supposed to have like $80,000 in it by the time I turned 18. But when I went to college, my parents said the stock market crashed and the fund lost most of its value. They covered my undergrad with parent loans instead. I never questioned it because I was 18 and didn't understand how any of that stuff worked. Now I was questioning everything. I drove to my parents' house unannounced one Saturday morning, let myself in with my old key, and went straight to my dad's office. He kept all the important documents in this filing cabinet that was never locked. I found the folder labeled college funds and started reading through old bank statements. My hands were shaking. The account never lost money in any stock market crash. In fact, it had grown to $95,000 by my 18th birthday. But then there were these transfers, monthly withdrawals starting my freshman year of college. By the time I graduated, the account was empty. They drained my entire college fund while telling me it didn't exist anymore. I took pictures of everything with my phone, found more documents showing they'd used my college fund money as part of Derek's down payment on the lake house. My own money bought my brother a vacation home while I was eating ramen in a studio apartment with no heat. That's when my dad walked in and caught me. He didn't even look surprised, just tired, started giving me this speech about how Derek was the responsible one, how I was always the difficult child, how they made an investment in his future. I told him I was going to the police. He laughed and said it was their money to manage how they wanted, except it wasn't. I called my grandma that afternoon. She was the one who set up the fund. Turns out she'd made it a custodial account with very specific rules. The money was legally mine once I turned 18. My parents were only supposed to manage it for education expenses. Using it for anything else, especially giving it to my brother, was technically theft. My grandma was livid. She hired a lawyer for me within 24 hours. The lawyer said we had a clear case of financial fraud and elder abuse since my grandma was the original account holder with specific intentions. My parents tried apologizing once they realized how serious this was, offered to pay me back in installments, but the lawyer said they'd broken several laws and the DA was interested in prosecuting. It took 8 months, but they both pled guilty to fraud charges. Got sentenced to 18 months each, plus had to pay full restitution of $95,000 with interest. Derek had to sell the lake house to help cover it. Now they're both out on parole, and my mom keeps leaving voicemails, saying I destroyed the family over money, that I should forgive them and move on. My grandma told me I did the right thing. She said stealing from your own kid and lying about it for years isn't a mistake, it's a choice. I finished my master's degree debt-free with the restitution money, and I'm teaching 5th grade now. Haven't spoken to any of them in 2 years.